All right, I'm back for Dust2S's ongoing coverage of ESL Challenger Atlanta. We're here on the media day with dephh ahead of their first match against Wildcard tomorrow. So to start, you guys just came off of a great run at EPL. Was that the expectation for you guys, especially with Lake still being bedded into the team?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't think we had many expectations at EPL, and it kind of just was happening. Every game we won, we felt like, oh shit, we can do this run. So it's same with every event right now. Lake is so new in the team that we don't really force that expectations on us. Maybe except for this event, because I feel like we're one of the strongest favorites here for sure.
And this is, of course, is your return to Atlanta after previously playing last year due to the whole Mink situation. Are you happy to be back in Atlanta but not having to hop on a server this time?
That's probably why I blanked it from my memory, because I was fucking playing, wasn't I? God. Yeah, I mean, I am definitely glad that I'm not playing and coaching. And we have a full team, and we're playing Wildcard, which is also, I don't know, we've got some beef with them right now, so it's going to be a fun one.
Something about the wildcard team, it's a perennial beef. You can change 4 or 5 players, and it's still a rivalry between you guys. We had a chance to talk to Sonic, and we also had a chance to talk to their coach Vince. And I asked them about that rivalry, and they said that they think this might be the time that they get a strong opening win against M80. How are you guys feeling about your opening match against that wildcard team who has traded blows with you online?
Yeah, I think that's the key. The trading blows online, but it's very different here on the stages. And unfortunately, we wish that we were playing their entire team, and they've got to stand in. So we would want to play wildcard at the strongest a LAN event, and I'm sure on the RMR that might happen. But yeah, I mean they've got a sub. They're going to come out swinging for sure. But we'll just be prepped and ready for them.
You mentioned the RMR there. That's kind of what's on everyone's mind right now at this Atlanta tournament. Is the RMRs are only 39 days away for most regions. How important is it for you guys to get these reps in now at EPL and Atlanta before you head to China?
Yeah, it's a very tough one. I think like it's the main focus for every team right now. Like all these teams in between are just either filler tournaments or you keep sharp kind of tournaments. But I also think the gap between one of the final tournaments, say like a Thunder Pick into China, the boot camps there that teams are going to have, you're going to have teams that come to the RMR with totally different play styles. Added a bunch, subtracted a bunch. The only thing that I think we're not going to see is roster changes.
And with that RMR, we got to see you guys skip the closed qualifier stage due to your Valve ranking points. Did you have a chance to sort of keep your eye on what teams qualified, and was that sort of the expected result to see those teams go through that did?
Yeah, we were so focused on ourselves, to be honest. It's like we were paying attention between games, but I don't think there was that many upsets really in the games. And then what was it that direct invites were top 8? Yeah, I can't really think of.
The big one is no NRG.
Okay, well that was a weird one because they're still very new and they did big changes. But NRG is a weird one too. Like they playing super good online, and then they just have these ruts that they get into. But I just think it's MR12. It's best of ones or best of threes. If you don't win pistols, like this game right now is it has this random aspect that maybe the MR15 CS:GO never had.
Turning the focus back to Lake, which we briefly talked about earlier, he came into the team obviously as a replacement for Malbs, who has ended up being on G2, being like the straight mustard, a superstar player already. But I would say almost as a replacement for Malbs, Lake has been doing really, really well, exceeding I think a lot of people's expectations. Has he exceeded your expectations with him coming into the team so fresh with almost no tier 1 experience?
Yeah, he's just super confident kid, right? He's from bumfuck nowhere, Oklahoma, and he exudes this confidence. I've only felt his nervousness on the stage a few times. Obviously, fill in Mario's shoes. We've seen him go on. I think right now, the HOTV top 20, you can't put him in there because the short amount of time he's been on G2. But I swear, I think he's a top 10 player right now. Very hard to fill that gap. And Lake's done a really good job. I think we're a bit too harsh on him at the start. And then we had this talk where, hey, we need to pull back a little bit. We need him to make mistakes. We need him to find his play style like we did with Mario. So it's been interesting to like relearn that. Mario wasn't perfect at the start when he joined, but he found his form. And I feel like we're seeing that with Lake a little bit too.
Yeah, definitely. When you were bringing Lake into the team, it seems like that was really the only name on your list. But were there other names on the short list? What was the like? Was it like, okay, Mulbs is gone, we need to get Lake like ASAP, or was it more like he's on a short list? Because it seems like it was a relatively quick turnaround to bring Lake into the squad.
Yeah, I think like as soon as G2 were encroaching on Mario, and we knew like that was one of the we couldn't ever hold Mario back from that. It's like we were instantly on it, and I think you're right. I think the list was pretty short. I'm not going to go into the other names we had on the list, but NA at the time also don't want to sell their better players, so the buyouts are unaffordable. So yeah, but Lake was just a guy that we knew was playing on a pretty low tier team in NA, but he showed consistency and he showed like at least he has this understanding that some of the other players we're looking at maybe didn't.
Another player that I'm going to have a chance to interview later today is Rek, and admittedly for me, so Rek's been in the scene for a million years. He was playing in like 2018 when he was 15 years old, but I was actually shocked to learn I don't think I've ever interviewed him, so I've never really got the pull open his brain and see what's in there. And he's sort of a silent workhorse on the team. I don't think he gets nearly as much attention as someone like Swisher, someone like Sin, someone like Slacks. What can you tell me about Rek, especially how he's developed in the almost the year plus now that you guys have been working together?
Yeah, Rek's a really interesting player because he's very reserved. He keeps himself to himself, and he kind of plays like that too. And like you said, he doesn't like suck the limelight up, but then he has these events where he just like kind of pops off in an anchor position, which is very difficult. I think the main thing for Rek has been when the Germans joined and we looked at other teams and we were talking to him about playing his position like some of the best in the world, like that. I think it was when he opened up and just was like, okay, I understand now. But also he's really cold. Like he never gets nervous. Always good on the stage. Like I can guarantee that Rek is going to be the same player every single time he plays a match, and it's important to have guys like that.
And that's interesting. I wonder to what extent that is, with his long experience in the game. And he also, I think, has a fantastic relationship with Swisher. He's someone that Swisher played with, like when Rek was like 16.
Yeah.
So, would you say that they have a good relationship on the team as well?
Yeah, they're like best buds. To be honest, they're both from California. They've both been playing with each other for a long time. They've also just been friendly the entire time too. So. Yeah, I think they have a really good relationship. They probably argue the most out of any other duo on the team, but I think that's just because they have such a good relationship.
Now, when we had a chance to interview you at Atlanta last year, you mentioned the fact that you guys had felt like you had outgrown like the NA scene, and now we're in sort of an interesting spot once again for M80, where you guys are having triumph at events like EPL. You're looking to do good here. You're heading to the RMR with a good chance of making it out, but you still have to make those commitments to ECL. Has NA gotten any better since we've last talked to you in a year?
I've told this to the team, like if we don't keep giving it our all and improving and adding things, like these teams are catching up, and it's just a fact. But maybe not on an offline environment, but online for sure. We've really not. Right now, ECL does not get our juices flowing. Like no one's enjoying the games, the best of one format. Like no one is enjoying playing them right now. So it's very hard for these guys right now to turn up for their matches. But as long as we make playoffs, and I'm sure you'll see more of like the form that M80 are known for now in the playoffs, and not in the just the open format.
So, ESL, if you ever decide to watch this interview and are taking notes about potential format changes,
We've told them already. It's just, and also the Valve rankings now is so punishing to lose. Okay, so we're ranked 19 in the world right now, and then say we play Wildcard and lose a map, we get minus 30 points for an online game in a best of one. Doesn't make sense. So we're like almost tentative to want to play an event like this, especially if it goes into next year.
And now one more question before I let you go. So the expectation last year in Atlanta was kind of just to survive because you didn't have an IGL at the time and you were back in the server. Yeah. And I think, the team was still in a very early state. What's the expectation now? Are we title contenders here in Atlanta now that it's a different, you're a better team and there's a different mix of teams from last year?
Yeah, I think it's very dangerous to say like we should win this event, but I think secretly like that's what the team feels like. You have a Saw that has been good has flashes of really good play, but also not super strong on the world stage. And then Wildcard with a sub, and then all the other teams are set for big. Really, don't look too hot right now. So hopefully, if we can continue the play we did at EPL, I think we potentially should win this event. Yeah.
All right, so that's dephh from M80 heading into their match tomorrow against Wildcard, which will potentially start their road to the trophy, taking finally an NA land for an NA team. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in action tomorrow.